Welcome everybody to the webinar. My name is Bob Burrell. I'm the Operations and Sales Enablement Manager here at Resmark Web and Resmark and Waiver. Excited to introduce you to our topic and to our guests. We've got a wide variety of industries with us today, from tours and activities to churches, campgrounds, sports teams, recreation, personal care, fitness, spas, and retail. I think while the industries are wide, I think we all have one thing that's in common, and we need a website that not only effectively promotes and sells our products and services, but one that's going to show well on Google and searches when our customers are looking for us. So today we're going to cover 5 key steps that are going to help your website be more effective. With that being said, let me introduce our presenters for today. First off, we have Chris Carfee, VP Brand and Product Marketing at Duda. Duda is one of the leading web design platforms for small and medium-sized companies. Chris is a marketer and technologist. Prior to Duda, Chris was at GoDaddy for nearly 6 years and headed up their content marketing and community efforts globally. Chris is also a veteran of both the startups and the enterprise, which just means really large companies. Adam Ferris is a SaaS sales leader. He's also the VP of Sales at Duda. Prior to Duda, Adam led strategic sales teams in the technology startup world and the aviation industry. And third, we have Brandon Lake, the CEO and co-founder of WaiverSign, who I would imagine you all are familiar with on the call today. WaiverSign is one of the largest waiver companies, signing millions of waivers annually. Brandon also owns and operates 2 of the most successful tour operations here in North America. Just some quick housekeeping. I will be watching the chat during the presentation. We have everyone's mics turned off for specific reasons. And if you do have a question, please feel free to add those in the chat. We'll make sure that we get them answered probably towards the end of the call. So before we get into this, let me just ask a question to our presenters. I mean, you've each helped kind of build and take businesses from the ground up in regards to a marketing perspective and maybe website design. So you've got the experience. Brandon, maybe we start with you. Why so much focus on a website?
No, it's a good question, Bob. There's a lot of things we can be focused on in business, right? And especially in sales and marketing, so many areas we can focus on. But here's the thing. When we look at our website and all of the other initiatives that we have going on in terms of direct marketing, nearly everything we do drives traffic to our websites. And if that website isn't performing as well as it possibly could, we're really wasting a lot of time and money. And honestly, we're missing a lot of potential revenue. And that's what we want to talk about today. Some key changes that you can make right now to get more revenue from your website. We put together, to make it really easy to follow, we put together a 5-step plan. Okay, this is going to help you improve your mobile experience. So people visiting on their phones have an incredible experience with your brand and your company. We're going to talk about reducing load time, which you'll see will actually dramatically increase your conversions. We're going to talk about what we can do on our websites that will create trust within seconds, that will really help people stick around and engage the way we want them to. We're going to talk about how to increase traffic from local online searches, because this has gotten huge, you guys. And as you know, we all do it. And we're going to spend some time on that. And then we're going to give you just a few key changes that you can make to your content and layout that's going to make your site far more effective. So why don't we let's jump into this first topic here. Adam, maybe you can walk us through this. How can we improve our mobile experience for our visitors? I think this is such an important topic, as so many of our website visits today are from phones.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. Why should we care how we browse the web as consumers? Why is this important for our business to really thrive and the website to be that kind of mousetrap for all the traffic and research that goes on? What we see in the data is that across all age groups, we're browsing the web and converting on our phones. And Google and Microsoft and Amazon, all the big folks out there, they track this. They know this about us. And Google has moved to something they call a mobile-only index. What they do is they take our mobile sites and they rank our businesses and search based on that content. what does that say about our buyer journeys as consumers? We're on the go. We're using our phones to look at websites. We want to convert quickly. We're becoming more and more impatient, and we expect sites just to work on mobile. They should be fast. They should be mobile optimized, meaning I should have a really great experience visiting that website that allows me to go search and discover businesses in my local area or in other areas, find the information we want, look at reviews, have continuity between what Google and Yelp shows me, and see that on a website and convert. Therefore, a mobile optimized site is a must for any small business nowadays.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a huge statistic we had up there. I mean, 61% of all, or 68.1% of all visits in 2020 coming from mobile devices. I think, and this idea of Google really switching over to this mobile first index, like those are really big deals. And I think about that, Adam, and it seems all too often we work on our own sites or we look at them like in an office environment, right? And we're always looking at kind of the big desktop version. I know I do. I forget about the mobile experience. And if that mobile experience is now surpassing the desktop experience, like that's a pretty big deal. I was doing some math here as you were going through some of this stuff. So when we think about conversion rates across the web, they're like 1.86% on average is kind of the average conversion rate. So let's say it's close to 2%. I was thinking if you had a website that maybe gets 1,000 visits a month, okay, we're going to say that 500 to 600 of those are coming on mobile devices per that statistic, maybe more. So if we looked at that and we said, based on that conversion rate, I mean, that's just spending some time and effort on our mobile optimizations. That's an additional, 5 to 10 sales per month that we could get out of just that one little initiative we're talking about here. So that's kind of exciting. The other thing we talk about a lot, and Chris, maybe you can pick this up, is the importance of site load time and speed as it relates to our customers and conversions.
Yeah, happy to. So there is a fairly significant body of data out there. Not surprisingly, we're really impatient and we want to get to whatever we are trying to do. And the data shows that there are significant impacts in conversion rates if you are not able to serve that information to the customers, to the site visitors quickly. So conversion drops 2%, 4%. I've seen some data that shows up to 7% for every second it takes a site to load. And that's really skewed towards that first 10 seconds, and in particular, that first 5 seconds of load. So especially if someone is coming in from their phone, they're trying to come to your website, and if they're not getting some sort of response, if they're not getting what they expected, if the page isn't loading for them, they're going to bounce. They're going to go somewhere else. They're going to go to the next search result, and you're going to lose that opportunity. So this concept of really thinking about the underlying technical underpinnings and the things that you can do to improve this technical aspect of the site has a extreme experience impact for the end user, for the visitor, for the customer. And really what we're ultimately trying to get to is we're trying to make it easier for us to do business with. We want customers to do business with us because we do it better, faster, easier than they can do from somewhere else. And this actually, again, shows up in the data. If you can improve that load time of the site, you can improve conversions, which goes right to the top line. The other interesting thing about improving site speed and site performance is, in addition to that user experience impact that you get, that's really, really direct, that also drives how things show up in Google's search results. So Google has somewhere between 200 and 300 different ranking factors that they put into all of their algorithms that show up and figure out who's going to show up where on that first page of the search results. And all things equal, faster websites, more trusted websites are all going to rank higher because those are ranking factors. And so if you've got two sites, they have similar content, similar concepts, similar types of other traits. The one that loads faster is going to be the one that A, is going to keep people around longer if they land on the site, but B, more importantly, they are more likely to actually come to the site because they will have ranked higher than their competition because, again, this speed, this load time, fast sites, they're going to rank higher in those search rankings from Google and the other search engines that are out there.
Hey, Chris, do you mind if I jump in here really quickly?
Yeah, go for it.
Really reminds me of a stat. Going back to speed, I think this is a concept we can all understand. Having searched for a business and having had a bad experience with a site that takes a really long time to load. I was looking up a stat or read an article the other day, a quote by Jeff Bezos, the former CEO of Amazon in 2019. He said, if he could reduce Amazon.com's corporate website load time by 1 second, it would represent 1 billion with a B in increased revenue for Amazon. And when we think about us as small business owners and operators, we don't have the luxury that Amazon has of taking advantage of that mass amount of traffic and site visitors. And so what does that mean for us? We as small business owners really need to capitalize on every single site visitor. And I love that stat you threw out there, Amazon or Brandon, about doing the math on 1,000 site visitors. What can we do to capitalize on that traffic? We can give our customers a great mobile experience that they expect on their phones, and we can make sure our sites load as quickly as possible so that they convert and give us their information or purchase products from us.
Yeah. And with, doing the math on this one here, I mean, this one piece, and your quote about Jeff Bezos really says it, but if you take that, we're just a small business, we're not Amazon, right? What difference does this make to me? Like, even if we're getting just 1,000 visitors per month, I look at that 2 to 4% conversion rate. If I can just drop my load time by a second, what does that mean for, if I'm looking at 1,000 visitors only in a month, that could be an additional 20 to 40 sales. What would a 5-second decrease lead to? Like 100 sales? I mean, that's huge stuff. So I think that's pretty exciting. If we can do that, you might wonder, well, how do I know how I'm performing? Right? We're happy to help with this. We can run complimentary site audit. We ran one here. This is actually not one of our clients, but a company I really love. I've done their tours. They actually have a beautiful looking site. You can see it here on how it looks on a phone, but they have a serious opportunity around increasing their load time. If you take a look at that circled statistic there, the time to interactive, that's basically how long does it take before I can interact with this site and that's kind of a mobile, that's a mobile stat right there across, using mobile networks and so forth, which a lot of people are. How long does it take? And that can be a tough thing sometimes to improve. And we can look at this with you and kind of do a site audit and say, okay, here's some factors that we might be able to consider. In their case, I think it's partly related to the platform they're on. And this one is actually built on WordPress. And WordPress does a lot of things really well. I mean, you can put together a very beautiful design, as you can see on it right here. But generally, because everything that gets inserted and included on a WordPress site, it gets kind of what I call bloated. And as a result, causes this to have a hard time loading quickly. And you can kind of see that right here in this one. So while you might be doing fairly well on SEO or some other things, man, this one statistic can really pull things down. So that may be an opportunity to look at. So we've talked about the mobile experience. We've talked about load times. I think in a lot of ways, like you mentioned, Adam, they kind of go hand in hand, right? But they're both very important. The next one I want to touch on is how do you build trust, right? Like, I was looking at this recent study from Google, and another company out of the UK did the same thing and actually found the same results. And they had determined, I don't even know how our brains really work this fast. They're amazing. But look at this. Okay. So first impressions are actually made within the first 50 milliseconds. So our brains are just looking at something and going, bam, I have it. I've made an impression. This image, the text, the whatever. I'm probably not reading it, but it's the imagery, the colors, the simplicity or the complexity of the site, and I've immediately made some determination of it. And 94% of that first impression is related to the page design. So what does that mean? That we're talking about image, colors, font size, how simple or complex it is. All of that comes together, we form an impression. So let me just share a little example with you. I was, my wife and I celebrated our wedding anniversary not too long ago. She loves getting massages, so I went to book one for the two of us in Salt Lake City. I go to Google, massages Salt Lake City. I see the following results in Google, and I start clicking through these sites. Now, before I show you this, I'm sure all these businesses offer great service. I don't mean to say anything bad about what they offer, but they have, let's just say there's some opportunities here to make a better first impression, okay? So I start clicking through these ones. First one on the list here is deep tissue massage and spa, okay? Now, I'm not totally even sure what I'm looking at here. There's sort of a few different pictures meshed together. It doesn't have a lot to do with massage. It also feels like they've kind of taken the mobile experience and they've decided to display it on desktop. Like, use the space you have. You know, we're already constrained on a phone, but my goodness, on desktop, use it, right? So I'm not very impressed. I go back, I go to the next site. I'm not even sure what's going on here. Okay, these awards, they're from like years ago, and my brain does not want to try to digest all of this. Right before I'm ready to leave the site, this image actually flashes. It's a little slider on the top, goes to the next thing. And while Thumbtack, I think, is like some kind of local voting thing, I'm seeing this back and I'm seeing the word Thumbtack, and I'm going, I'm not thinking I want to get a massage there, right? So I'm going on to the next result. Next one's Pride Massage. Now, I feel like this one, has way too much to digest right out of the gate. I mean, this is the homepage, and I'm like, oh, geez. The purple background, the logo, I don't know. They're doing the best, with that. And again, they probably have a fantastic service. Their reviews are actually really good. But, I'm not super impressed there. Move on to the next one. This one doesn't even have an image at all, and I'm not relating to what the ski season has to do with my anniversary, really. And it just doesn't do it. This one comes close, but I kind of have to think about it for a bit. There's not really a clear path here. There's an okay image. We're getting closer, okay? But the last result, I feel like, nails it. This one I can relate to. I immediately see the quality of their spa. I see pampering, luxury results. That's what I want. And they're making it easy for me to take action, either by booking a visit or learning about treatments. Okay, so you can see that, right? I mean, sometimes we get kind of caught in the weeds and with our site or whatever, but as we step back and look at some other examples, even if it's not our industry, I think that can be helpful sometimes. I love looking at, I also operate in the travel industry, and I love looking at that stuff. Here's just a few of my really favorite sites. Like, look at the impact that these sites carry. Okay, love this one. Super clean, simple. It's got an image that evokes some emotion. I'm not even a fly fisher, but I sort of want to go fly fishing now. Same thing on this one. I see this big thing. I'm kind of clued in. I might want to play that video or scroll down, but love the simplicity and the impact that it carries. This one, ski season's ending, but I'm ready to book this for next year. Hopefully you can see what's going on, right? Like, this is the difference that a great design really makes is huge. And it's something to step back and really look at with our sites. And there's simple things we can do to just change some imagery, some words, simplify some things, and be like, wow, now people are landing on my site and staying on my site. So I wanted to touch on one thing here. Chris, maybe you can pick up on this a little bit. I mentioned that in my search for spas, how I search Google for, massage locations near me. Can you tell us a little bit more about how we can be more effective with local search and the impact that local search can really have on our business?
Yeah, there's been so much evolution and acceleration in this, especially over the last year or so, with many people being at home, working from home, doing everything. Now they're like, okay, I need to find the things that are near me. And so, when you were going through and you were putting in that search for your anniversary, you probably put something in like, day spa near me as your search term. We find that over 80% of folks actually do these types of searches. And again, if you're not above the fold, if you're not in that, what they call the local pack or the 3-pack of results there, that is going to greatly reduce the opportunity to even get in front of prospects. And most folks, once they land on one of these local search results pages, the most common thing they're going to do is actually head off to the website. And if you look through all of the different types of information that can get pulled into these local search results, they are getting richer and richer over time. If you looked at the previous slide, you had 3 different results. If you went through and you looked at that, one for the Moab Adventure Center there, you're going to see imagery. You're going to see local reviews. You're going to see that address there, things like hours, and all of that is changing literally day to day. If you looked at this, at a different time of day or a different day of the week, that particular information in the Google results is going to be different. If they have, COVID types of protocols in place, sometimes that will flow through as well. And what has happened over the last year is Google has made a really strong push and really encouraged website owners to include this information in their websites, keep it up to date, and they think of it as local business info. It's sort of the buzz phrase that they use, and actually integrating that information into the website in a way that not only can site visitors see it, but also Google can pick up that lower level technical information, pull it into their search results. And what we see is that actually results in more engagement. It's more calls to action being, acted on. So clicking on the phone number to call if you're a restaurant or some other type of business that enables pickup, being able to actually order. We're starting to see some of these local search results actually having order buttons and such that are connected off to the website that are integrated into the search results, things like menus and all of that information. Now it needs to show up in this Google local search, Google My Business type of result. And a lot of that stuff can be driven directly from the website. And so finding a way to have an easy to update website that has all of this information that is formatted in such a way that Google can pick it up and pull it into their search results. That's where you really get this increased level of engagement on the results, which results in more business.
Yeah. No, thank you, Chris. We've certainly seen the impact of that with our local businesses. I mean, it's been just massive when you are able to get into those top positions, and not just in Google, but also in all of the other, all the other directories and voice search and all of these things play together. And I think in a way too, that consistency, if we can maintain the consistency across 100 plus directories that are out there, Google sees that too. And while Google's kind of the one we always talk about for good reason, these other ones matter because they can influence those rankings there. When we're consistent across all of those directories, it impacts how Google sees us as legitimate, accurate, and having a very clear and concise, detail to our business that they can have confidence in showing in those first results. So that does make a huge difference. So we've talked about improving our mobile experience. We talked about reducing load time, how we can build some trust very quickly through our design. We talked about this increasing traffic from search. I want to talk here about a few key changes that we can make to content and layout. And we're really we could talk about a lot of things here, but we're going to simplify this and we're going to talk about just one page, perhaps the most important page on our website, the homepage. Okay, now there's this great quote here from Digital Marketer that I love. They say a great homepage probably won't close the sale, but not having a great homepage can absolutely lose the sale. And we saw that with some of those examples that I showed earlier, right? They lost some sales and had an opportunity to probably win my business, as I was going through that search. So we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about just one specific area of the page. It's the area that we call above the fold. Okay, and we're going to talk about that because 84% of website visitors don't actually scroll below the fold on the homepage. They'll take action and go to some other page, is what we're hoping, but it may not be scrolling down. A very small percentage are going to do that. So just a quick little tidbit of information. You hear that word, I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase above the fold, but it actually comes from an old newspaper term. When we looked at newspaper, like folded up, in a stack, when we would see that information on top of the front page with the folded paper looking up to us. And that's what we would sort of glance at and say, I want to pick this up and I'd like to read more, scroll down in a sense by unfolding the paper, right? So that's where that term above the fold comes from. And we use it on our websites, even though the websites are not folded, unless you got a really fancy monitor, I guess. But so we land on the site and we're going to make a very quick decision here what to do. In fact, according to Nielsen, they estimated, this is 10 years ago, you guys, that they estimated this. In 10 seconds, we only had 10 seconds to make a first impression, basically. Today, that's estimated to be closer to 7 seconds. So what do people need to understand in the first 7 seconds? I just want to throw out 3 critical questions that your homepage has to answer. What is it? Why should I care? And what do I do now? Okay. Now, I'm going to share a learning experience we had with our own website in regards to this, all right? Because we kind of screwed this up. So we had made this great little video of General Washington. Some of you have probably seen it. He was using digital waivers for his men on the battlefield. And we were pretty proud of it. We thought it was so great that let us put it front and center on our homepage, thinking everyone would watch it, right? It was like our message, just click this video and you're going to feel the emotion of what we're doing here with waivers. And it didn't work as well as we hoped. Later on, we went back and said, okay, we kind of missed the point here, didn't we? We need to reconsider these 3 points. What is it? Why should I care? What should I do now? So those kind of seem to be missing here a little bit, even though we got, some content around. It's just not that clear what I should do next. Really, I think the next step is watch this video. And that's not really what we wanted you to do when you came to the site. So we made a change. We recrafted the top of the homepage. Take a look at this. You think the message is more clear? Am I answering the 3 questions? What is it? Online waiver software for businesses. Why should you care? It's paperless, contactless, simple. You're going to get organized. Stop worrying about waivers. What should you do? Get a free trial or sign a sample waiver. Now, one thing I'll point out here with this is having that, having a primary call to action, which is obviously the main thing you want them to do, is critical. But having that secondary call to action, you saw it back on that spa site. They had book an appointment, or I think it was see our treatments or something like that, right? There were these 2 things. And so I'm like, I'm not quite ready, but I want to do this. So in our case, we're experimenting right now with sign a sample waiver, just try it, or get your own account and check it out that way. So let me show you just a couple other examples. Resmark, we're actually making the same changes to this website right now. What is it? Why should I care? What should I do about it? On a tour site, this is our tour site. We've got, what is it? We'll have Utah's Best Adventures. Why should I care? You're going to experience something truly extraordinary. What should you do about it? Well, book your adventure or get a free insider's guide to the area. And obviously these were kind of in the same place because we just put everything there, but it doesn't have to be exactly there, right? But the key is you've got a great image. You've, brought all of that together that we've been talking about. Your message is clear. What you want them to do is clear. And we've got those 3 key points integrated into this. And on top of that, we need to, of course, look at mobile and make sure that the same thing is resonating on mobile devices. So, all right, now you may be looking at this and saying, okay, this all makes logical sense. I want to improve the mobile experience. I want to reduce load times. Building trust faster makes total sense. I want a good design. I want to get more traffic from local search. I want to make these changes to my home site, but how do I do it? So let's cover a couple of options. One option is we would be happy to provide a complimentary audit of your business and your website. We'll show you how it's doing, where some opportunities exist, help you come up with a plan to tackle those. This will likely reveal a whole list of tweaks you could do and make to your existing site on your own. And if you'd like to do that, we would be happy to go through it with you. Just send us an email after the webinar. We'll set up a time and we'll run through it with you. You may be looking at that and saying, okay, that would be great. I could go through and make all these changes. But if that's like, this feels kind of technical, I'm not sure what to do. We're excited to introduce this today to everybody. We actually have been spending a lot of time with this and in finding the right partnership to help our clients. Our clients have been coming to us for years saying, could you help me with this? You help me with my waivers, you help me with my bookings, you do all of this stuff for me. I need help on my website. And a lot of clients have recognized that. And honestly, websites can cost, $10,000 plus. And for a lot of our clients, that's just been something that it was too much. And we have put together a partnership here that we're able to offer this for far less. So I want to just mention this to you so you know that this is now available to you as one of our clients. We can do a full redesign and optimization of a new website for as little as $950, which is absolutely amazing. If you were to go out and price, getting a brand new website built for someone that's going to actually put it together for you and build it out and customize the design and make it work according to the things we've been talking about. You can choose the plan that makes the most sense for you. You can kind of see what things are offered here between basic, pro, and premium on the screen. Most businesses so far have been choosing the $239 per month plan. It provides all your speed and mobile optimizations, priority support, a full blog with unlimited pages, which can really help in the search results, as well as some amazing tools that are going to help your business get found. I mean, Adam and Chris talked about a lot of those today, and then having those tools built into this whole thing is really what's going to make the difference when you say, well, how do I get into the top of the local search? How do I truly make sure my site is optimized with load time? How do I factor all of these things in? That's all built into this. And to top it all off on this last one, we actually provide a full site redesign every 3 years. I often get into this and you spend a ton of money on a site and you're like, well, that's great, but it's going to be out of date. It's going to be another 3-5 years and I'm going to feel like I have to redo it again, which is true because times change and devices change and, we're always constantly improving that way. And so we just want to take that off the table and say, you know what, we'll just include that and keep you on top of things as time goes on. So I want to show you just for a minute, like I've been doing here. I like to do the math on these things. Somebody presents something to me and says, you want to spend $239 a month on it? I want to say, well, what am I going to get from $239, right? So I did a little math. I want to just take a hypothetical business with this. Let's say you're a fairly small business. You make $120,000 per year in revenue, okay? And let's say that business is getting an average conversion rate of, say, 2%, meaning 2% of the website visitors are signing up or making a purchase. So that would give us about, let's just say it's around $10,000 per month. Now, here's the interesting thing. Chris and Adam shared some stats today about increasing conversion rate by 2 to 4% for just like 1 second, or by having a better mobile experience, all of these things, right? So if we said, well, let's be super conservative. Let's just say we could increase that 2% conversion rate by 1%. That would actually give us another $5,000. So now we're at $15,000 monthly. And that's only 1%. Like I think a lot more could be possible, but that's all. If that's all you were able to achieve with this, $5,000 a month. Okay. So that's a 50% increase in revenue, almost an additional $5,000 in revenue that we're making from just making that change. And we look at the ROI on $239 at $4,761. Of course, if your business is doing more than $120,000 in revenue each year, obviously that number is a lot greater. And if it's doing less than that, even half of that, it's still a 10 times return. It's probably the best thing you could do at $239 right now. So I think about, how do we get there? Okay. Because you may be saying, okay, that's great. What if I wanted to sign up for one of these things? How, what's the process? A lot of times we think about web design and we go, oh, it takes months. It did for us when we did our site a while ago. It was like half the year to get there. And we've also looked at this process and we want to just simplify it. So here's what it is. You select your plan. you provide the key components, and we have a template that helps you bring all of this together: business information, product, services, all that kind of stuff. It's going to go into this template. We've made that really easy. Once we have that, we have a kickoff call with a project manager. We take all of that and we complete that design within 10 days. So we're going to turn this around very quickly. You're going to have a chance to look at it, which is super exciting. Always, it's like unwrapping a present. And you get to give feedback. We have 2 rounds of feedback. You provide your updates. We turn those around in 48 hours. And then you give us the green light and we launch the new site. And you've got all of these things that we've been talking about today built in to that new site. And that's super cool. The other really cool thing, and I just want to give you a quick preview of this, is if inside this platform, you're actually able to go in and make your own edits. Now, you don't have to, because you've got a support team that can help you do all of that. So if you're like, I don't even want to touch it, I might mess something up, totally fine. A lot of people feel that way. Your support team will handle any little updates you want. But if you're one of those that said, like, I don't want to have to make a phone call to make a little change. Like, I know I found a misspelling on there, so I just want to pop in and quickly change it, right? These changes are really easy. I want to just show you how easy the editor is to use. So I'm inside the ResMark web editor here. You can see a site that's up. I'm just going to go ahead and make a quick change to this. We're going to add a button here. So I'm missing a call to action, right? Like we talked about today. We just literally drag and drop this out of the widgets and we pop it in here. And then I can go ahead and just say, okay, what do I want it to say? I want it to say join now, for example. Where do I want it to be located? Off to the left. Maybe I want to tweak the size of the button just a little bit. So I can come in here and tweak the shape, tweak the size of it just a little. And you can see it's still pretty easy to use. Again, that might look technically daunting to someone, and if so, then no worries. You know, you call the support team and say, hey, I need a button right here. Great, plug in a button. So very, very easy. Let's say that you had a site and you wanted to add some text to it, right? Or just tweak the text. This is all kind of this, what we call a WYSIWYG editor, right? And I can come in here and just literally click directly on the text and type over it. And I'm seeing the layout of the site as it looks in a browser, which is kind of cool. So it just makes it super, super easy to use that way. Same thing for, regular content inside the page. I can just pop in here, type whatever it is I want to type in there, and those changes are immediately saved. And then I just hit that publish button up at the top, and there it goes. Maybe I want to do something like switching out an image, okay? So in this case, maybe I'm switching from wintertime to summertime like we are right now. I want to pop in here and find and this is cool, you guys, look at this. So there's actually a directory of images built into the site. Now this may not be Montana, I don't know, but we could probably even search for that, mountains, Montana, or something like that, and potentially find some of those things. Beautiful high-res images. I can pop those in there, and the site will actually do all the optimizing and everything for me with the image for mobile, for desktop. Like I don't even have to think about it. It's super, super easy, and there are literally hundreds of thousands of images I can find for just about anything already built into the site that you can use for free. If you want to get into paid images, we have some amazing discounts on Shutterstock and other things like that you can plug into as well. And then if I wanted to, you guys can see that little mobile icon up at the top up here. If I were to come in and wanted to change over to mobile, I could pop into the mobile environment and see my whole preview of my site on a phone and actually make edits directly on the little phone, which is really cool. So if you're a WaverSign or ResMark client, of course, looking at this and you're kind of excited about it, it's super affordable and you wanted to look at it, we'll actually make sure that on your site you've got a prominent waiver page with everything built out around that to get people into your signing process. If you're a full ResMark user, we can actually provide search functionality built right into the site. So this will actually come in and search your products that are built in ResMark, which is really cool. I could go through that search and return results directly within my site that pulls back everything from the system. And then when I go in to view any details of a specific product, instead of like today, those of you that are doing this are keeping your site in sync manually. You're going through and all these details about your products. You've changed something over in ResMark. Oh, I got to go to the website, make sure it stays in sync. Pricing, details, minimum ages, all of that kind of stuff. This will actually pull the data from ResMark. and dynamically insert it directly into the page. So that's going to be a game changer for a lot of businesses. So if you're interested in getting some additional help with literally any of the things we talked about today, we're happy to help. We are here to help all of you be more successful with your businesses. And it could be just a complimentary site audit where we dig into a few of these topics and we hand you a few tips and you go ahead and take care of them within your site. We would love you to do that. Honestly, if you're more successful, we're more successful. So we really want you to get there. But if you are interested in a full-on, looking at this full-on new site, which could give you all of these benefits we talked about today, we'd love to talk about that too. So before we totally wrap up, Bob, I'm assuming we had a few questions come in while we've been talking here. Do you want to just walk us through those and we'll get people's questions answered and then we can wrap up for today?
Yeah, definitely. So the first question, Brandon, I think you already answered, but I want you to answer it again because it's it's hard to believe. So it says, how long does it take to get a new site up and running? You had mentioned 10 days, but I think just say it again because that's quick.
Yeah, that's quick, huh? It's and granted, if you come and you have 100 or 400 page site, we're not talking about 10 days. But these are smaller sites, like what you saw on the pricing page is a site with 10 pages or less. We can get that put together in 10 days. There may be an additional week or two there, kind of depending on how long it takes to pull content together and think about stuff. A lot of times, this is kind of a good opportunity, particularly this time of year, to do what I call spring cleaning. You have your website that's been around, you haven't updated it forever, and it's a time to kind of rethink, right? And depending on how much rethinking you want to do, even though you maybe pulled the trigger on this, you may want to think and noodle around with some ideas and content and the services that you're providing and that one thing you sell that never sells. Maybe you want to get rid of it. You know what I mean? Like just a chance to think through some of that, organize that. And, that's something we'll help you with, but that piece of the process can vary. But once you give us that and say, go, we'll get that site built out in 10 days or less.
I mean, even if it was less than 30 days, I think most people will take you up on it.
Yeah, I know. It's still pretty fantastic.
Okay. We had another question around, do you have a content marketing package? So I know that you mentioned price for what it is up front and kind of a monthly fee, but are there other options that can be a part of this?
Absolutely. And I don't have those here in front of us here to look at, but send us whoever asked that, send an email to the email you see, sales@resmarksystems.com. Send an email there and just ask for that. We'll send you a full price sheet with all those additional services, whether it be, SEO packages. We do have those available, local SEO and as well as like more of the global SEO. We also have there's some really cool things, you guys, around even like your terms and policies. We've got some great services around those that just make that so easy for your privacy policy, stuff that you may not even have today. Content writing, if you want that. There's a lot of stuff to help, especially when people are just busy. So many times we don't do this stuff because we're just busy in our businesses and we know we need to do it. So to be able to turn it over to somebody for $950, and get that kind of return on it, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think one thing that wasn't even mentioned yet is making sure that your site is secure. So I can't tell you how many customers I talk to that still have a site that's not secure currently. And so, that's part of the deal too, which resonates well with Google. Make sure that your customers feel comfortable coming to your site and things of that nature too. So that was something that hadn't even been mentioned. So I think kind of just a parlay on top of that question, the next one was, what other services do you offer? You kind of just hit home on some of those, but is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, I don't think so. We don't offer every digital marketing service under the sun, but we offer some key services and tried to keep them very affordable. So just get in touch and we'll send you the list and you can see what resonates.
Great. And then the last question, this is one that I know I hear all the time. I'm glad that it was asked so that we can address it, but how do you compare to WordPress or Squarespace, and what are the differences? What is the cost differences? Chris, Adam, Brandon, any of you guys that want to jump in and kind of tackle that one, I think there's a lot to be said around this point.
Yeah. I know. I'll just mention something really quick. I mean, like I actually used Squarespace a couple of years ago to build out a site for my wife is the team director of our mountain bike team here in our local community, a couple hundred kids on the team. And so I got to be the guy that built out the website for it. And I went to Squarespace right out of the gate because it was cheap. And it was easy, for just building a quick website. And I'm kind of technical and I could probably do some things, but I wanted something quick and easy and inexpensive. And so I went there and I built it out, but I didn't really care about so much about search results. I didn't care, these are people that I'm just telling them the website and they're just going there for information in our local community. And we're not competing with anyone. So there were a lot of things I didn't really care about with that. But I did find myself getting a little bit frustrated at some point along the journey. I chose my template and I wanted to do certain things, and was like, I'm assuming you can, but it wasn't very apparent to me as a user of I want the page to do this. I need it to not do what it's trying to do here. I felt very tied and limited almost, inside that platform. And then I mentioned some things on WordPress. I know, Chris, you've spent even more time with WordPress. You have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, happy to. I've worked on and off with WordPress going back to 2005. And there are, a number of things that were part of that platform then and still are today. One is there are always constant updates from the technical side that are required. So you get, typically they're pushing 3 or 4, what they call their core updates every year, any one of which is, fraught with a little bit of peril when you push that update button to see, is it going to break the site? A lot of the things that just come as part of the platform that Brandon has been talking about here, you have to get external plugins, and every one of those is sort of on its own update schedule as well. So there's just a lot of, beyond the initial setup, there's just a whole lot of, dial turning and bit twiddling that's required to keep those sites up and running and secure over time. So a lot of the things around security and site speed, you have to pull in and try and kind of cobble all of those things together. And then just in general, sort of the internal back-end admin interface hasn't really changed over that time period as well. So it kind of feels and looks like it's got that legacy 2005 approach on a lot of things, and it's just much more difficult to use than what Brandon demoed here, which is, okay, I need a button, I put the button where I need it. I need to change the text, I click on the text and change it. And so both from that getting things up and going, the administrative side, and then really most importantly, that care and feeding and update and ongoing security, those are some of the things to definitely put into the consideration set as well.
And I think there's one other thing too to mention there. It's a little bit buried here in what we talked about back on the pricing page, but and there are a lot of additional services we're packaging up here that are not part of any of these other platforms. Some of those speed optimizations, the mobile optimization, the editor tools. What I showed you might be similar to a couple other editing tools out there, but the package, especially in that premium package, all of those things that we're including there for your, we didn't even talk about this, but there's this really amazing review aggregation tool. It's going to bring in all your Google reviews, Facebook reviews, Yelp reviews, TripAdvisor, if you use that, pull it all into one place. So you don't have to keep logging into all these places to say, oh, thank you for the great review, or deal with a negative review here and there. It's going to come all together, and it will actually aggregate it and show you graphs and charts and bring all of that together. So you can really manage your brand presence, across all of these different channels, which in the end helps a lot too with these search results. When you can be engaged on all of those different platforms and they'll all notice that, okay, you're a legitimate business engaging with every one of your users. They like that. It's their platform issuing the reviews. They want managers to interact. And so that only is a feather in your cap, by doing that, but it's often hard. And so we try to bring all of that together in a platform that you can do that. In addition to like submission to all those directories, we talked about getting your business in like 100+ directories. Well, how in the world are you going to do that? You can go out there and manage each one of them individually, but like the time you would spend and then the little tweak you want to make to your hours, or you found your address was off, or you want to add some images or something and have them go everywhere. You could do that inside this platform. And those are things that, you're not even really going to find anywhere else. So having that all built in together in one package is like pretty awesome for finding success with all of this.
The accuracy and uniformity of your data across the web, creating that multi-channel or omni-channel approach to your presence on the web, so you can get found in whatever way is convenient for us as consumers to find you and convert, creates a tons of trust and just makes it really easy for us to find you and convert. So yeah, I get really excited about that.
For sure.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is there's a lot that we have to offer if you're interested in it. So I would, if this is something that is of interest to those that are on the call, there's a few ways that you can learn more. You can visit resmarkweb.com to get started. You can contact our sales team over here at sales@resmarksystems.com. Brandon had mentioned that site audit if you're curious about how fast your site loads and things of that nature. While it might look beautiful, if it's taking a long time to load, you might be losing people because of that delay. We're happy to run that audit for you, and we can even help make some suggestions that either we might be able to help you with or things that you could do on your own. But with that being said, Brandon, Adam, Chris, I think this has been very helpful, informative, educational, all those other kind of adjectives that come along with that and being time well spent. So I appreciate the three of you so much for doing this. Again, if there's any information that anyone on the call would like to review, please reach out to us. There's a form that you can fill out on resmarkweb.com. Again, you can reach out to the sales team here. We're happy to address and answer any questions that you have. We thank you so much for your time today. And we thank you again to our presenters. And, we'll make sure that we get this recording out to everyone as well. And we look forward to talking to you all soon. So if there's no other comments, I think we can close it down here and call the meeting adjourned.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity. This was fun. Appreciate it.
Bye now.
Take care.